Your failures are your biggest lessons. Now, I just put out a video, I think it was this week or last week, about my first road gig, my first chance to go on the road and do what I, thought was the goal of being a musician in Nashville, getting a road gig and getting fired, making a mistake, not realizing that it wasn't the Sunset Strip anymore, and I guess making a mistake of sorts and getting canned. And that video did very well. Apparently, people love to hear about failure. People love to hear about getting fired. Just like my biggest video that I have on my channel, Broke on the Road. People love to hear about being broke because and failure, because we can all relate to that. I mean, we've all been there. Everybody that watches my channel knows that being a musician, playing in a band, trying to do that for a living is a very, very challenging thing. And man, when I saw how well that video did, I thought, man, I should have gotten fired more often. I should have been fired from every gig. And look, we all do things, get away with things on gigs that should have gotten us fired. I mean, the early days of playing in a wedding band and the band that I played with at that time, playing in a wedding band, it wasn't as corporate and controlled as it is now. Now there's contracts and you're told before the gig, what you can do, and everything is very structured. And I was fine with that because, I had learned lessons over the years. But man, in the early days of playing those gigs, I'd have a stack of beer bottles on my amp, and I'd be playing the gig and playing licks and playing over the top, playing so over the top and going crazy. It was very much, if somebody had caught footage of one of those gigs, it would have been what's the drummer is on the wrong gig. I was doing that way before the Mad Drummer, but that is an incredible video. But man, I can remember, rolling on the floor on a wedding gig, the stack of beers on the amps, banging my head to some maybe like a Bon Jovi song or something, and doing just being lost in the moment of playing guitar, which we all can get, but, is maybe not appropriate in certain situations. And, Lord knows I should have been fired many, many times on probably every gig I've ever done. But, not everybody takes offense to the things you do. I think, a lot of times people would just chop it up to exuberance, and so I'd think, man, am I crossing the line here? And the phone would ring and, hey, got a gig this weekend, and so, failure though can be our biggest learning lesson. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. Especially when you're young. And, if you're my age now and still making those kinds of mistakes, well, then that could be a serious problem. But the reality is, man, in this business, you can be sometimes in situations where there are a lot of rules, and then you can be in situations sometimes where there are no rules. And I've been in both types of situations. And in the situations where there are no rules, then you've got to set some boundaries for yourself. You've got to set some limits on yourself because, man, things can get pretty crazy and pretty out of control. So the best rules and limits are the ones that you set on yourself. And, I learned late in my career playing with an oldies act when I toured with Gary Lewis and the Playboys. That was a sober backstage. There were no beers backstage, and that I was perfectly fine with that. And we would go out on the road and play our shows. We show up the sound check. Everybody's sober. We play our gig, and then if we wanted to have some drinks, we would go out, after the show. Not the artist, but the band. And so we would have good camaraderie, and we would go out for a few pops, after the gig. But everybody would have to, kind of watch what you're doing for the most part, because we would generally have a flight to catch the next day. And, you don't want to outdrink and party the money that you make. I mean, you're out there to make money. And if you're drinking your pay, if you're blowing money on, room service and drinks and all these different things, it'd be very easy to spend every dime you made and have nothing left. And man, we all would have bills to pay. I certainly had bills and mortgages and things to pay when I got home. So, that would limit what, we were able to do. So it's good to have limits. But man, like I said, you can learn from your mistakes, and that is very important to do. Learning to be prepared. There's been times, in the past where maybe you missed learning a song. I remember one time I was playing with this band, and it was a wedding band in time. And I'm not even sure that this is a lesson learned, because I feel like the band leader didn't clarify. But we were given a list of songs to play in a set. And one of the songs was Stevie Wonder, For Once in My Life. So I learned the Stevie Wonder song. And, because when you say For Once in My Life, to me, it's Stevie Wonder, and that's it. There isn't any other version. And so I get to the gig, and the band leader calls the song. And all of a sudden, I realize they're playing Michael Bublé's version of this song, which I have never heard. I have no idea. It's a completely different arrangement. And I was pretty lost. I think there might have been a chord chart. There might have been a book. I don't remember that. But, the whole band sounded like we didn't know what was going on. And it did not come off well. And, there were a lot of really talented musicians, on that gig, and, that played in this band, over the years. And I noticed it was probably maybe a month or so later, but the band leader sent out a mass email with everybody's name on a thing. And it may have been people that he saw that he didn't think learned the songs or what. I don't know. But, or maybe it was everybody that played with the band. I don't know. But man, he sent out this scathing email about, everybody that plays in this band, has to learn all the material. Well, let me just back this up a little bit. I had played with the band once before, and they had given us a list of the songs. And so I learned everything, man. I learned all the songs in the list. I learned all the guitar solos. And now we're not talking about a gig that paid, $1,000. But I spent, a whole week, learning all these songs, learning all these guitar solos, learning all this stuff. So I'm known for doing my work and being prepared. But, like I said, if you don't specify the artist, and I noticed later on people would specify the artist and provide a link, so they made sure you learned the right version. Because even if you learned another artist version, they might have a live version, they might have different arrangements, they might play it in different keys over the years. So, this is not an uncommon thing, but he sent out this scathing email, and I saw names on that list, and I'm like, these guys are stellar musicians. They don't need to be talked down to like you're the principal at a thing. And to put everybody's name, you could see everybody on the list, and I'm just going, man, this guy's a jerk. And I could have wasted more of my time besides reading it, and sent him a scathing email back saying, it's one thing to criticize people, but the reality is, I learned the song, but unfortunately, you did not tell me which artist played the song or which version you wanted to hear. And so I was prepared to play Stevie Wonder's For Once in My Life. And you wanted to hear Michael Bublé, who in my world does it not exist. Okay. I know he's got lots of fans, and I may anger people. Let me know in the comments. But that's, Stevie Wonder. Yes. Michael Bublé. No. Talented guy, just not something I'm going to listen to. It's not designed for me. But this band leader, he thought Michael Bublé was just the greatest thing in the world. So you get an idea of who we're dealing with. But I chose not to blast this guy back. He made a mistake. And that's really on him. But he chose to blast everybody in this email. And, that's sometimes some of the stuff that you have to deal with. You can try to be as prepared as you can, but inevitably, man, you get on a gig and I had a guy the other day tell me he learned, the 40 songs for some artist gig, and they get on the gig and they decide, I want to play all originals today. And so this guy spent all this time learning all this stuff, and then he had to spend the whole show watching the bass player throw numbers at him, You have to learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you will find that you're going to get called less and less. And we've all made mistakes. Everybody out there, whether it's hitting one chord, wrong, or missing the mark on something, or singing the wrong harmony or whatever. It's very easy when music is such a specific thing and has to be performed in a certain way. It's very easy to make mistakes. But you can make mistakes in your personal life. You can make mistakes on your day gig. Life is filled with mistakes. And the reality is, no matter how hard you try not to make mistakes, mistakes are inevitable. Don't beat yourself up. Dust yourself off. If you did something wrong, you can apologize for it, and and walk away with dignity. And I think if you're willing to accept the fact that you made a mistake, and you apologize for it, man, that goes an awful long way.